Many Constant Worlds is a meta-disjointed journey through the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I'm Kat, she, her, and I have spent the last few days making Astarion love me in Baldur's Gate. It wasn't hard.
I'm Taryn, they, them, and I restarted that game like 3 times, and I'm not far in it any of those times, and legitimately nobody loves me. I am forever alone outside of the game and inside of the game. I support walkthroughs. I refuse to look up a romance. I've looked up walkthroughs for other things on that game. But I'm like, no, you know what? If this is just my destiny, this is my destiny.
I mean, maybe when Halsin shows up.
We'll see. I might just disappoint Halsin too.
I don't know. I feel like he could be kind of neurodivergent.
I don't even know that it's the divergence and not just I'm so wishy-washy. I'm so like, I don't know. I'm going to do this thing very specifically and then this other thing kind of fucked up and I'm just so in the middle of everything. Like,
well, you know, my argument for why he might work out is that he's poly. So you will be his only option. He can go get what he needs elsewhere when you're too neurodivergent.
Halsin and I might work out. This might work out.
Because, like, he will approach you and be like, I know you're with someone else, but, like, I'm into it. If they're okay with it, can, like, we have a thing? So maybe when no one else is there.
This is great. So my other intro was going to be, like, that I was speedrunning this recording. And instead, we've jumped right into like, talking about the other thing that we'd rather be doing right now.
That's true. I have to finish riding kids on bikes tonight.
Oh, no.
I might push it off.
I was going to say, you don't have to.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Hey, Megan and I are gonna do what we're gonna do.
That's true.
And honestly, like, half of what you write is gonna end up unusable because we're gonna be, like, off doing some other random shit anyways. So, like...
I don't know if you guys are gonna complete a single task.
No, we're not. It's a one-shot. You're gonna be fine.
You guys are just gonna hang out in Middle Green.
And guess what? If we do complete everything that you have written, it's over.
Valid.
So
I will say, like, I'm prepping less for this than for, like, D&D since it's more of a collaborative storytelling game. You guys get to put the ending on it. And I was just thinking earlier that it would be hilarious if it also ends in, like, I had the time of my life playing out. Just like, okay, Cryptid kind of did. Even though, like, we did not use, you know, licensed music in any way, but we all felt it was there in spirit.
I've had the best day of my existence.
We fully support trigger warnings and taking care of your own mental health, our mental health. So here are the trigger warnings for this book and thus this episode. Child death, racial slurs, racism, death, bullying, child abuse, sexual content, murder, violence, domestic abuse, homophobia, homophobic slurs, gore, suicide, fat phobia, animal cruelty and death, anti-Semitism, misogyny, pedophilia, sexual assault, and just so many things. Also, just very, very explicit. Similar to the previous episode, there is a dog death in this section, and it's pretty fucking shitty.
I had to skip over the dog, like, once it started, and I knew it was happening. I had to... It mixes too many things, too many triggers for me, and also it was still dog death, and I couldn't fucking do it. So,
yeah.
Just pre-warning, yet another thing that I was like, nope, and just kept going, because...
That's fair. I can say, like, reading it, like, in paper form,
yeah,
it's a little easier to get through it, because you can just sort of skim really fast,
yeah,
and it's over. But I can't imagine trying to do that scene with the audio, where you have to wait for the narrator to hurry the fuck up. And there's no speed setting fast enough.
No.
To compare to my skimming.
Yeah, there wasn't.
But that is in Bev's chapter, and we're actually going to start with chapter 16, Eddie's Big Break. And no, he's not going into show business. Eddie is picking up some shit from the pharmacy, and the pharmacist is rather creepy. Tells him that he doesn't have asthma, and that it's all been bullshit pushed by his mother, and his doctor is just too scared to tell him. But legit, this fucking adult man takes a child into his office alone, and he's very, like, firm about that, including getting the kid, like, an ice cream soda or something. And it's just very uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it was the 50s. Like,
it was wrong then, it's wrong now. This man is creepy.
yeah.
But regardless, Eddie leaves, goes to try and pick up some comics and a Coke, but ends up jumped by Henry Bowers and his friends. They beat the crap out of Eddie and even end up, like, terrifying the store owner into hiding from them. Store owner does, like, call the cops, but he got chased inside by some what should be 6th graders, even if Henry Bowers got held back.
I think the kids would call the store owner based. I think that's the term that the kids are using these days. I realize that the store owner, like, goes back inside, is, like, scared back inside because there's so many of them. But the fact that anybody actually intervenes at any point, good for the store owner. I just really wanted to mention that was pretty great.
I have to agree. It was a shock that the store owner did anything.
I think Eddie would have died
Probably.
if the store owner hadn't intervened and called the cops, didn't
Yeah, he did.
So
Called Mr. Nell.
interesting.
Eddie's arm is broken and he ends up in the hospital for a couple of days. Here is where he confronts his mom about the aspirator. She denies it. He dreams of the losers coming to visit him, but Sonia sends them away. He confronts her about that too. Basically ends up telling her that she can either let them visit next time or he wouldn't continue to use his asthma medicine anymore. Because why would his mommy lie to him? And he really uses that to his advantage, and I loved it. But I just still really love Eddie.
Yeah, no, it was smart. This was the thing that felt the most tied to everything else to me so far. Like,
Okay.
Other than the things that are very in your face, and I think it's because she's very Annie Wilkes
Yeah.
here, and it's very just out there. I think the line that stood out to me the most is when she straight up says, like, well, you know, it's not actually medicine, but it can become medicine. A good mom really believes it's medicine, then it will become medicine. And I think what immediately went through my head then was, who told you that? And when he's talking to the pharmacist, and the pharmacist is like, oh no, you have asthma, but who gave it to you? It's all of these big, overbearing women. And they're
Sylvia Pittston. No, I was thinking about it too because I started singing Giant Woman in my head with Sonia stuff. I'm like, oh, she's a giant woman.
That's Steven Universe, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Still on Max. Still not sponsored by Max. Max, give us money.
No, I don't want it anymore. They canceled our Flag Means Death.
Oh, no, that's fair.
Fuck Max.
That's true, yeah.
They get like a half fuck you. They still do some things okay, but they can't for like weird reasons.
Yeah. Not weird reasons, just they are shitty people and they have problems.
I mean, would probably still take the money because, like, it's money, but...
And we poor.
Yeah.
Podcast doesn't pay for itself.
Yeah. If anybody out there has money that they want to give us for our Max subscription... It's in no way related to the podcast.
We are working on a Patreon. It's technically up. It's just not fully ready.
We're getting there.
Yeah. No, we're taking this at a snail's pace.
We're tired.
We are busy people, and you know what? This is just, we love doing this. I was gonna say we love Stephen King, but dude, I don't love Stephen King.
I'm getting back there, I guess. Like,
I love books.
Yeah.
And this has been interesting, discussing
Yeah.
these much more closely. Either way, yeah, Sonia is a giant woman.
She is a giant. woman, she's kind of the same as Sylvia Pittston, and she's kind of the same as Annie Wilkes. And I think we're going to see some of the same shit in Carrie's mom.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if we're going to see some of the same shit in Carrie's mom, of just that hyper-religiosity bred into them. Oh, and the one in the mist, too. I actually felt like Sonia more was like her. That they had more in common. Just that way of like, well, but if I deeply believe it, it's going to become true. Which is the basis of magic.
Right?
If I truly believe this, this is going to become a thing. And as we get further in the section that we read, is kind of a carrying theme.
Yeah.
Of this, if this is my deeply held belief and I truly believe it and carry it, it is true. And that's interesting. So.
That's because it's all just Stephen King's make-believe world. And the Dark Tower is just the center of his make-believe world that he has decided to release upon the rest of us.
I mean, is it make-believe, or is it, we could argue, when we get to book 7, 20 years from now, when we make it to book 7 of the Dark Tower.
20 seasons. The illusion of his aspirator broken forced Eddie to face that he is, first of all, he has a boy mom.
Oh, God.
And he finally just has to grow up. So way to go, Eddie. Good for you.
She so would be.
She was a boy mom. They just didn't have that term back then.
If she had Instagram or like TikTok or any of it, she would be like #boy mom so bad.
Yeah, no, she's crying the moment that Eddie like starts having a girlfriend and gets married, and just like she can't understand like why his wife can't understand how she's the most important woman in his life. And yeah, either way, the losers do finally make it in the next time they come to visit him, basically because Sonia knew either they get in or I get out. And those options, she picked letting the losers in. So they have been practicing shooting with Bill's bullseye and have decided that Beverly will take the shots. Their scores are as follows. Richie hit 1 out of 10, probably because he has glasses.
Not even just glasses. That kid would be considered legally blind.
Ben hit 2 out of 10. Bill got 4 out of 10.
Ben got 2 out of 10 because he's fat.
And he can't be as good as Bill.
Well, and fat means you're not good at anything.
Mike got 5 out of 10, and Bev got 9 out of 10.
Because she's a girl, so she's good at ranged weapons.
She was born to be a gunslinger. She remembers the face of her fucking father. And when
like
the time
under duress.
When the time comes and she is even firing at the like leeches in her chapter, it's her dad's voice she hears. She remembers the face of her father.
Oh, Christ. Because I skipped because the dog death.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get there. It's in my notes.
Oh, good God.
That's what I'm here for.
No, I mean, that's great.
Chapter 16 ends with what I think is probably one of the best fucking quotes. Maybe, he thought, there aren't any such things as good friends or bad friends. Maybe there are just friends. People who stand by you when you're hurt and who help you feel not so lonely. Maybe they're always worth being scared for and hoping for and living for. Maybe worth dying for too. If that's what has to be, no good friends, no bad friends. Only people you need to be with, people who build their houses in your heart. Fuck yeah, Stephen King. Now we're back. I don't love you, but you know what? We're back.
That is a content.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But
it's a great quote.
Such a solid way to end it, and I love it that it's coming from Eddie.
Yeah.
And I have a theory about that too. Because there is in the interlude of this, they mention, I think, another Eddie, like an Eddie Prince or somebody who gets murdered. And so I'm finally just like, who the fuck is Eddie? Why is Eddie? Stephen King's middle name is Edwin.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's
Stephen Edwin King.
Well, so there is an Eddie in the Dark Tower who I keep fucking screaming about.
The lobsters know. The lobsters are aware.
When Stephen King writes a character named Eddie, they seem to tend to function as the heart of a group.
Yeah.
And this quartet came together over Eddie because they came together over Eddie's asthma attack.
Yep.
They came together over him needing his aspirator. Whether or not he actually needed it, we're talking about belief, and we're talking about that influencing the world, influencing the world around you. And his deeply held belief was, I have asthma. I need this thing to breathe and to live. This thing gives me breath. This will cause me to continue living. I don't have it. I'm very screwed right now. And all of these people, like, that's what initially brought this group together. So they came together over what they believed was saving his life. I think it is interesting that that's his quote.
So now we are moving into Bev's chapter. So we have sexualization of a young woman, first of all, an 11-year-old girl, actually, and we have the dog death and some bird death, like, is suggested in this as well. Like, animal death is coming. So basically, a short version is that Bev is going home from skating, and she is wearing very short shorts. They are explicitly described as short in such a way that I don't know, it just seemed weird. Regardless, she comes across Henry and his buddies again, and they're trying to light their farts on fire, as young boys want to do, and adult boys, and all boys.
A boy thing.
It's a boy thing. And
hashtag boy mom.
I talk about the sexualization of Bev because they really go into not only the short shorts, but her weird feelings about them having dicks, and then thinking about Bill having a dick. I don't know. I didn't do this at 11. Is this what people did? I don't understand.
I can't help. My experience was different because being socialized as a girl, but then realizing later in life that wasn't really right for me. I don't think my experience was right. So please let us know. Were you an 11-year-old who was just like, whoa, dicks? Like,
yeah.
I had a different experience about dicks. But
so Henry's group has an addition, and that is Patrick Hockstetter, who is very different in the book than he is in the 2017 and 2019 movies.
yeah.
Dude is super weird. He kills flies and then keeps their corpses. We find out that he also kills other animals in really fucked up ways. That's all I'm gonna say. He also killed his baby brother. Oh yeah, there was child death here too.
Oh, jeez.
I forgot about that. Sorry.
You might have to edit that in. You can tell what we care about more.
We don't have children, guys.
Yeah.
The dogs are our children.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's the same way I don't understand the, like, dicks.
It's just not, it's not on the radar. Like,
so,
I did want to throw in before I forget Patrick
Hockstetter.
Hockstetter.
That's how it's spelled.
No, that's fair because I'm listening. I forget. He gets called Patrick a lot. So Patrick is very John Wayne Gacy. I think he probably is like other serial killers too, but because I actually looked into that one, as far as I know, John Wayne Gacy didn't kill any of his siblings. That didn't come up in what little bit I looked into him. But the other things that happened with him were similar. He is like other serial killers that I've heard about in passing in my podcast, not enough that I looked into it. So I am neither going to name them, nor do I have enough to go on and on about it. But I did think it was interesting. That seems to be where some of that is getting channeled. He's a very basic
He's basic.
Yes, he's your basic bitch serial killer. Yes. Everything, at least especially how we understood it in the 1980s and how that was described. This is the whatever triad of shit that you're gonna look at, and if your kid does this, be fucking worried. I would also be worried if a child was torturing animals and, like, killing their younger sibling and shit. It does seem like in the new movies that came out, they gave a lot of it, just all of it, into Henry Bowers.
Yeah.
And the only thing Patrick does is, like, light shit on fire.
Yeah.
And I don't think any farts got lit on fire.
So Patrick goes to his refrigerator of death that after he has, like, parted ways with Henry and the others. And what he finds inside are a bunch of, like, weird leech thingies. And they start attacking him. He eventually ends up falling fully, like, into the hands of it. Like, he keeps trying to get the leeches off him, runs off to the side, and he gets gotten. Bev had been hiding in some bushes because she had to pee through all of this, which we also get told a lot about. So she finally kind of emerges from the bushes thinking that Hochstetter is going to, like, jump out at her and is just, like, hiding and waiting because she's afraid that what happened to Eddie's going to happen to her. But she never seems to, like, find him, but she sees, like, trails of where he had gone. And one of the leech things does try to come for her, and yes, she hears the voice of her father, and she ends up shooting one of the leeches, and she even says, if you had asked me, I would have told you it missed. It should have missed. It curved. Her shot curved.
Yeah.
And she nailed the leech that was trying to attack her. So she leaves from there, and she ends up telling the rest of the losers, all but Eddie, go, because Eddie's still in the hospital. And they go out to the fridge. They put a rope around the handle. This is so that they can stand further back to open it up. They do get it open, and there is a message from Pennywise telling them to leave him alone.
Sure, dude. Because you asked nice.
He's got a sheet on his head. Leave Pennywise alone.
Oh, God.
That is what happened to Patrick Hochstetter. The next chapter is going into Ben's creation of the silver slugs that they have referred to a few times up to this point. They could only make so many, but they did it. They did what they had. Then they go to the house on Nybalt Street, encountering it just head on. Immediately, the house is up to some tricks. The size getting distorted because, as the Man in Black said, it's the size that gets you. Ben is carved up a little bit. Bev fires at it. She does end up a bullet short, but the kids are all able to successfully pass a deception/performance check, and it believes that she still has one in her hand. Terrified that Bev would legitimately kill it, the creature retreats. They check Ben, and it is but a flesh wound. Meanwhile, despite some great badass scenes from Bev, she is once again reduced to being sexualized. Her shirt is fully open, boobs out, just out there. Literally every boy in the room sees them. They do look away, and then she gets a shirt from Bill. They lock eyes, and this time Bill doesn't look away.
It's interesting that she comes up a slug short because obviously as adults they don't have stand.
Yes.
That's interesting, especially because they make Pennywise believe that they have enough.
Yeah.
That is really interesting moving forward. The sexualization of Bev is less interesting. What is interesting about it is that I've heard the justification that I've heard for the scene later is, well, you know, all the child that nobody talks about that, and that is so terrifying, but, you know, but this, nobody, you know, that's scary too, and nobody talks about how that's meant to be scary. This shit is not written as frightening.
Yeah.
It's written as coming of age bullshit.
Yeah.
They're like 11. There are happenings that happen when you're 11.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary for the story. Like, there were other ways to write about it. Anybody who remembers being 11 would know what we were getting at.
Yeah.
Without it having to be so explicit.
Yeah.
The scene with Bev, sure, it really bothered me.
It bothered me too.
The scene where Bev's got the short shorts and has to piss really bad and everything. That's so weird. There could have been any other reason for her being hidden in the bushes.
Yeah.
It's just such a weird thing.
No, it feels like it reduces her, because obviously she's badass. She is the one who's able to fire off all this stuff. It feels like we are reducing her to just being the like icon of lust for these boys. And it's not to say that boys wouldn't do that, I don't know. But this is a book. We could have done better.
Yeah.
And I feel like Bev, like in the movies, she does not get any autonomy because her dad, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like in the book, Bev doesn't get any autonomy because of Stephen King. He just like strips it from her.
Well, and the shades of it are there because the idea of it, that she hears her dad and that she kind of has this like gunslinger edge, it feels like it comes from the intense, like, the way that her parents are remind me of Roland's shitty parents.
Yeah.
But it's from that he gets these. Like, he wouldn't have that if he didn't have to remember the face of his father. Like, Stephen Deshane is not a good... The 2017 movie makes Stephen Deshane seem like he and Roland have, like, this great relationship, and cool, I'm down with that. That would be great if that was accurate. Obviously, in the book, like, you can tell it is not. Stephen Deshane is shitty.
Yeah.
But it's from that. Like, that's accurate to how knights and shit, how their lives were. And so Bev has been kind of molded that way. It's the same for Bill. Like, he's been very molded that way. And it's really interesting. Like, those things are interesting. I don't need these other things. I wonder if I'm trying to give Stephen King some benefit of the doubt. I wonder if there's an element of, I'm scared if I make her too badass or too cool, now all of a sudden boys won't read it, men won't read it. Like,
No, and I'm sure that's a lot of it, especially because you and I are sitting here in the year 2024 reading this book.
it's 2024.
And this book is nearly, 40 years old next year?
God, it is, yeah.
It's a 40-year-old fucking book.
Yeah.
I think that I know that there's a difference in how we like read it now versus how we read it before. Additionally, you and I have already talked about, like, there's a difference in us reading it for this podcast and us just reading Stephen King books. We're doing our job.
No, it's true. Like, I don't think I'd be as harsh about it if I wasn't having to look at it
Same.
really critically.
If I could read through this much faster and just like blow it out of the water, I don't think I would. I probably wouldn't even notice some parts about this book at all.
Yeah, I probably would have skimmed past them.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have.
Had no idea.
And I've been jumping past a bunch of shit.
Well, now that shit is over with, interlude 4. Mike is drunk.
Kind of great. Mike's parts are always great.
Mike's parts are always great. So he is writing about an inciting act of violence in the year of 1905. Dude goes off with some other dudes. 3 get hacked up. Dude mentions some specific Darrians who were involved, and they were the ancestors of those who would later burn the Black Spot. And eventually, Hatchet Dude shows up and kills a bunch of people. And he does it with an axe.
It was a really interesting, like, the way that it gets described is interesting. And also the name. Or is Claude not, am I crazy thinking that Claude is in The Shining?
I don't
I'm
recall a Claude, but
Yeah,
that doesn't.
that's
It's been a while since I've read it, and I don't remember the characters in the movie well enough, other than, Jack,
Okay,
Wendy.
full transparency. I was listening to this while I was playing Dead Island 2, because that came out on Game Pass. So I was hacking zombies with axes while listening to this description, and it's entirely possible that I just didn't.
Fair enough.
Because I was having to do 2 things at the same time to try and, like, focus.
Yeah.
Because I have not been the most focused recently. So, just fully transparent. It probably not. But,
Well, I think, like, no matter what, the axe is still, it's relevant. And the fact that this man is the one.
It still made me, like, pause.
Because this is also where he ends up killing, Eddie King is the name.
Yeah.
Edwin King.
No, it was interesting. I knew that there was a king.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, like, I didn't remember the Eddie part, but God, all the repeated names, and the repeated names in this book.
Yeah. And so now we've got, obviously, Randall Flagg in the Eyes of the Dragon, he used an executioner's axe. We have Annie Wilkes, who went to fetch her axe to come after, and obviously she chopped off Paul's leg. She didn't use a hammer like in the movie. She chopped that shit off. Now we've got this dude with an axe. We know we have Jack Torrance in the future with an axe.
Which in reality is in the past for King writing it.
Yeah.
That would have been the 70s, but it's in the future for us.
Yeah.
So
just a lot of axes. So the dude who told Mike about like all of this happening in the bar, like the whole time he was sitting there. He knew he couldn't stop it, so he didn't stop it. And also he made me think of the guy with the sea mine in Hot Fuzz. I could see them sitting there translating. And Nicholas Frost going, yes, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyway, so power, belief, and faith are all keywords when it comes to its continued survival. And that's it with the capital I. That is
not a steam mine.
Not a sea mine. I have some points of interest that I would like to bring to the table. The first being that in Eddie's chapter, everyone is signing his cast. And Mike is the only lefty. And it is mentioned because he has trouble finding like a good angle to sign at. We've already talked about the whole giving and receiving hands back with Miseries. Just to recap, dominant hand is generally guarded as the giving hand. But if you believe differently, then you believe differently. We're talking about the power of belief, damn it. But the reason I bring this up is because, one, Mike is always considered like an outsider. He's been outside of everything. He was the one who was not already vaguely acquainted with the other losers. He has early and more encounters with it than it seems like the others do, like going into all of this. And so being left-handed and the only lefty is just one more thing that has like othered him. It's something that is less common. If we believe lateral brain theory, that says that the left hand is controlled by the right side of the brain, which is related to creativity and is able to recognize and process social things like better. It does describe Mike in a lot of ways. I don't know if lateral brain theory was a thing back then, so that's probably a question mark. And maybe it just happened that way, or Stephen King knew some lefties and noticed that they tended to be this way.
I think by the 80s it certainly was.
Okay.
I would be really surprised to find out that it wasn't. I would not be shocked to find out that shit exploded in the 70s. Seems like a 70s thing.
The other thing, we might finally have to talk a little bit more about right path and left path magic.
Yes, thank you, yes.
The way this book is written, I suspect that King is allowing some of that to influence what he is doing here. It's very focused on the sexuality of the characters. To be explicit, these are not my personal beliefs. I don't know that they're not the podcast belief. I don't know where Taryn stands on right-hand path and left-hand path.
I just like to learn. I just like to know what things are out there. I don't know that I necessarily have like a belief as far as right hand, left hand, chaos. Like, yeah. I don't know where I fall with all of it, but I just like to know what's out there.
That's fair. So, personally, I don't jam on it. And some of the people that fucking used this shit and they used it to be racist pieces of shit out there. So yeah. I'm just sharing the information that I suspect had an influence here. Yeah. This is nothing else. Basically, the right-hand path is defined by following a set of beliefs, while the left-hand path rejects and questions religious dogma. The left-hand path is also known to incorporate more sexuality and use it in magic, which of course means if you look even vaguely into this, you're going to run into Crowley again.
Yeah.
And as I just pointed out momentarily ago, Mike is very othered. I think that's coming into play. And in this case, while I would expect Bev to be the one that is on the left-hand side since it's powered by sex, depending on what you look into, you will also find things that just, if anybody just didn't like you, they decided you were on the left-hand path.
Right-hand path is very like, I command thee, is it not? And then left-hand path is more like, fuck, like, it's, because it's all very like, I will it so it is, because in reality, like, it all came from the same, like,
Yeah.
roots. But one is really ritualistic and really, like you said, really dogmatic, right? And then one is a lot more, like, orgies to power the... I realize I'm kind of repeating what you're saying, but I'm trying to make sure that I understand where we're at, because one is, I think, where we're going to find it and the powers that be, and Legion at the end of it, right? And what is invoking it at the end of, because it's the rigid, it's the
lawful neutral.
Yeah. Whereas the other one, I think you're right, it's the
chaotic neutral.
Yeah, it's the very kind of natural. The, like, when we joke that Mike is a druid.
Yeah.
It's that idea. So, like, we're saying sexual, but I don't, it's not just that.
No, that's just one of the things that, like, gets very, like, pointed out, like...
That's because Crowley's involved.
No, and that's exactly it. And it's the whole, like, the concept of, like, even maidens dancing naked under a moon would lead most, like, Christians to go, oh, that's, you know, that's that left-hand path shit. Or right-hand path. I don't... It's the opposite path to me. I am orderly over here with my clothes on, worshipping Sky Daddy.
I mean, Christians won't admit that what they're doing is magic at all.
No, you're all doing magic, okay?
I mean, when you light candles and say your ritualistic incantations to your Sky Daddies, asking for the things that you want and commanding it be so in your will and in the will of your Sky Daddies, that's magic. When I light my candles and say my ritualistic incantations for the things that I want and will it be so in the name of my Sky Daddy, Jesus, that's just praying.
I don't have a Sky Daddy. I have an underground mommy, I guess.
Fucking heathen.
I'll take it.
That's the difference.
Witch in the woods. That's all my goal is. I will sacrifice you to my underground mommy. I will also just give our lobsters one fun fact. Bev's chapter at one point was so poorly written, I had to go ask Taryn what a sentence was, because I thought I couldn't understand English anymore.
I think it was just old.
It was a weird sentence, though, at the end of it, even if it is just, you know, nearly 40 years old. Probably citing, like, something from the 50s as lingo.
I think it was old even for the 80s.
Yeah.
But I still could have been wrong.
Doesn't matter. Just was a weird fucking sentence. I kept thinking a word was missing. So, yeah, all of you can enjoy that.
I don't always know everything. I just like to pretend like I do.
We all do.
Yeah. If you say it with enough confidence, you can be really confidently wrong.
I mean, that's what scared it away.
Yeah, no, exactly.
They were telling Bev, kill it! Kill it!
Yeah.
Confidently. The last thing that I have that I wanted to just kind of put out there is the book does mention some, like, drawings and scribbles of Patrick's, and it really made me think of, like, all of the drawings Jake was doing in the Dark Tower movie. The, like, 2017 movie? I don't remember. Is it 2017?
I think it's 2017.
Okay. That, like, he papered his walls with. I don't know that it's anything, but saying it.
It makes me wonder if, like, a shine can get turned dark. And I wonder if a shine can get turned dark if these women, if the idea is that a woman shine gets turned dark more easily, if women are more inherently powerful and so it gets more...
That's what we talked about a little bit when we did Misery, of just like, did Annie have a shine that got fucked up?
No, that's what I've been keeping in mind, is that idea.
So last time we pulled the Three of Cups, which encourages a gathering of one's closest friends, such as a quartet. And Taryn, do you want to pull our card?
Yeah, the world.
Ooh, I love the world.
This card is a naked I'm assuming lady because there's prominent breasts, wrapped up in like a sash holding 2 batons with a like ivy circle around her.
It could be.
And then
Point is, it's a wreath.
And then in the 4 corners is it one of the archangels?
I think it's supposed to be like representative of the books of the Bible, but I don't remember who the dude is. I don't know if it's an I think it is. Yeah. I want to say it's like Michael.
I want to say it was Michael. For some reason, my brain was like Gabriel, but I think it's Michael.
I think if we're both thinking it's Michael, it might be Michael.
In the top left, in the top right is an eagle head. Bottom left is a bull or minotaur head.
It's a Taurus.
And then in the bottom right is a lion or Leo.
Yeah.
That is this specific, the world card, as best as I can describe it.
So the world symbolizes completion and accomplishment. Clearly, it does not know that we're not that close to the end yet. It means that one is about to achieve something that you've been working towards for a long time. We are about to play Kids on Bikes.
Yeah.
That'll come out after it's all done, but we are about to play it. It is a good time to reflect on the journey and celebrate the success. If there is any unfinished business, the world encourages one to bring them some closure to those things.
Hey, it does look like we have around 30-ish listeners at this point. So maybe by this point we'll have like 50.
Ooh.
And maybe that's what it says.
So next time we are reading part 5. We are still safe from the scene. You know the scene.
There's been so many other terrible scenes in this book, but we all know what scene we mean.
Let's see. Actually, may not be all of part 5. Looks like it's half of part 5. Part 6 we must be doing with the other half of part 5. So, it is actually part 5.
Your book just thudding onto the table.
It's so thick. We are reading chapter 19 through chapter 20. It's 2 chapters and it's over 100 pages.
I hate this book. Oh, I would like to update all the lobsters that I finished Shogun. Well, my lobby lobs, please go on, because there are other worlds than these.
You can email us at miniconstantworlds@gmail.com, DM us on Instagram or TikTok, and hey, while you're there, maybe give us a follow. Love you, lobsters.